The most feared predator in the galaxy lay dying on the cold floor of a rocky alien cave. Its murderous claws twitched uselessly. Its venomous jaws opened and closed with irregular gasps. Its armored hide, once impenetrable, rippled with weakness. Bruce Crawford stared at the pitiful creature. Droplets of the pack-lead's acidic blood sizzled smoking holes in the stone by his boots. Bruce's hand hovered over his pistol. Common sense screamed at him to mercy kill the lethal beast before it could regain strength and savage him. But something in the creature's pained wheezing tugged at the human explorer's heart. This was no ordinary pack-lead. The distinct geometric pattern of scars on its flank marked it as Janus, the last living member of its species. Bruce had seen those scars before, in old video logs recovered from the first human pack-lead war decades ago. Of course, Janus had been young and strong then, not the gasping wreck that Bruce now knelt beside. The human gritted his teeth. It would be easy, so easy to put a plasma bolt through the pack-lead's brain and be done with it. After all, Janus's kind had slaughtered scores of Bruce's ancestors when humankind first ventured to the stars. Their kind were hated, feared, reviled as the monsters that haunted the nightmares of a dozen sentient races. No one would mourn this creature's passing. Many would cheer to know the pack-lead were finally extinct. No one but Bruce, that is. Because Bruce, against all logic and sense, found himself wanting to save the life of his species' once greatest foe. He wanted Janus to live, even if the rest of the galaxy would curse him as a traitor for it. Muttering a vicious oath against his own foolish compassion, Bruce shrugged out of his environment suit's gloves. He hoisted the delirious pack-lead over his shoulders in a fireman's carry, wincing as its claws dangled perilously close to his exposed neck. "Don't make me regret this, you ugly bastard," Bruce growled to his semi-conscious passenger as he activated his suit thrusters and blasted off toward the landing site of his exploration ship, the Frontier Spirit. Saving Janus would be the easy part, Bruce reflected grimly. The real fight would be convincing his crewmates to help him cure the disease visibly ravaging the pack-lead's body before it was too late. Zach, Owen, and the others had lost family to pack-lead attacks. They had no reason to lift a finger for this creature, except for the fact that despite everything, it was a living being in need of help. And like it or not, Bruce would move heaven and earth to make sure Janus got that help, even if he had to drag the pack-lead back from death's door with his bare hands. Bruce just prayed he could keep his own crew from spacing him for this stunt long enough to synthesize a cure, because if he failed, there would be one less human in the galaxy, and the fearsome pack-lead would pass into oblivion forever. The Frontier Spirit's medical bay hummed with frenetic activity as Bruce and his crew raced against time to save Janus's life. Owen, the ship's medic, hunched over a microscope, analyzing the pack-lead's blood samples. His brow furrowed as he muttered, "The virus is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's attacking Janus's cells at an alarming rate." Bruce paced the room, his eyes darting between Janus's vitals and the computer simulations Zach was running. "Keep looking," he urged his crew. "There has to be a way to stop this thing." Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. Zach's eyes widened as he checked the sensors. "Bruce, we've got company. A pack-lead warship just dropped out of hyperspace. They're hailing us." Bruce's stomach knotted. The pack-lead must have tracked Janus's life signs. He sprinted to the bridge, his heart pounding. He opened the hailing frequency, steeling himself as the pack-lead commander's face filled the view screen. "Human," Craxus snarled, his fangs bared. "You have taken our comrade prisoner. Return Janus to us immediately and submit to pack-lead justice for your crimes." Bruce held up his hands, his voice steady. "Craxus, I assure you we mean no harm. Janus is sick. We're trying to help him." Craxus's eyes narrowed. "Lies. You seek to exploit Janus's weakness. Prepare to be boarded and face the consequences of your actions." Bruce's mind raced. He couldn't let the pack-lead take Janus, not when they were so close to finding a cure. "Craxus, wait. I invite you to send a delegation to see for yourself. Janus is receiving medical treatment, not torture. Please, let us work together to save his life." The pack-lead commander hesitated, his claws tapping the armrest of his chair. "Very well, human. But if you are deceiving us, you will pay with your lives. Minutes later, the Frontier Spirit's airlock hissed open. Two massive, pack-led warriors stomped onto the ship, their weapons charged and ready. Bruce and his crewmates exchanged nervous glances as they led the pack-led to the medical bay. The warriors loomed over Janus's unconscious form, their scanners whirring. One of them, a medic judging by the insignia on his armor, grunted, "The human speaks the truth. Janus is ill, not a prisoner." Craxus's voice crackled over the medic's communicator. "Assist the humans in finding a cure, but watch them closely. If they betray us, show no mercy." And so, an unlikely alliance formed. Bruce and the pack-led medic worked side by side, poring over data and testing potential treatments. The air crackled with tension, centuries of conflict and mistrust hanging between them. Zack pulled Bruce aside, his face tight with worry. "Bruce, are you sure about this? What if the pack-led turn on us the second Janus is cured?" Bruce sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know it's a risk, Zack, but if we can save Janus, if we can show the pack-led that humans are capable of compassion, maybe we can start to heal the wounds of the past. We have to try." Hours turned into days as they toiled, hope and desperation warring in their hearts. Janus grew weaker, his life signs dipping to critical levels. Bruce refused to leave his side, murmuring encouragement to the stricken pack-led. Just when all seemed lost, a shout rang out from the lab. "Bruce, we've got it!" Owen burst into the room, a vial clutched in his hand. "The antidote, it works!" Bruce and the pack-led medic locked eyes, a flicker of understanding passing between them. Together, they loaded the antidote into an injector and pressed it to Janus's neck. The room held its breath as the seconds ticked by. Then, a miracle. Janus's vitals stabilized, his breathing evening out. His eyes fluttered open, meeting Bruce's gaze with a mix of confusion and gratitude. "You saved him," the pack-led medic said, his voice rough with emotion. "You saved us all." Bruce clasped the pack-led's shoulder, a smile spreading across his face. "No, we saved him, together. And maybe, just maybe, we've taken the first step towards a future where humans and pack-led are no longer enemies, but friends." Bruce wiped sweat from his brow as he adjusted the nutrient flow to Janus's IV. The pack-led's vitals had stabilized, but recovery would be slow. Beside him, the pack-led medic meticulously checked readings on a handheld scanner. "His cellular regeneration rate has increased by 3%, the medic noted. "The human treatment is effective." Bruce nodded. "We make a good team." A harsh voice crackled over the intercom. "Human, I demand to speak with you immediately." Bruce sighed. "Craxus." He tapped the comm panel. "I'm monitoring Janus. Can it wait?" "No, my patience wears thin. Bring Janus to my ship now." "Craxus, moving him could kill him. He needs more time." "Unacceptable. You will return our warrior or face the consequences." The pack-led medic stepped forward. "Commander, the human speaks truth. Janus requires continued care here." A tense silence followed. Bruce held his breath. Finally, Craxus growled, "Very well, but this is not over, human." The comm clicked off. Bruce exhaled. "That was close. Thanks for backing me up." The medic grunted non-committally, but Bruce noticed the slight nod of acknowledgement. Days passed. Bruce and the medic worked tirelessly, their initial wariness giving way to a wary respect. Janus grew stronger under their care. One morning, as Bruce checked Janus's wounds, the pack-led's eyes fluttered open. A rasping sound escaped his throat. "Easy there, big guy," Bruce soothed. "You're safe." Janus's claw twitched, brushing Bruce's arm. The pack-led's eyes locked onto Bruce's face. Another rasp, followed by a gesture toward Bruce. The medic leaned in, listening intently. His eyes widened. He's thanking you for saving him." Bruce blinked in shock. "I didn't think pack-led could feel gratitude." Janus made another sound. The medic translated, "He asks why you helped him." Bruce considered his words carefully. "Because it was the right thing to do. Humans believe in protecting life, even our enemies. The medic relayed this. Janus's reaction was a mix of confusion and curiosity. Over the next few days, as Janus regained his voice, Bruce seized the opportunity to learn more. Through the medic's translations, Janus revealed the brutal code that governed Pakled society. Strength is everything, Janus explained. Mercy is weakness. Weakness means death. Bruce shook his head. But your strength almost got you killed. It was compassion that saved you. Janus fell silent, pondering. Then, I have questioned our ways, but to speak such thoughts means exile. Or worse. The medic's mandibles clicked in surprise. You doubt the code? Janus nodded slowly. I wonder if there is another path. Bruce leaned forward, eager. There is. Humans have built our civilization on cooperation, on protecting the weak. It's made us stronger, not weaker. Janus listened, his alien features unreadable. The medic stood frozen, clearly struggling with these heretical ideas. As Janus's strength returned, Bruce noticed the Pakled watching him closely, studying the interactions between the human crew. The savage creature he'd first encountered seemed to be changing, ever so slightly. But what would happen when Janus was well enough to leave? Would he embrace this new philosophy or revert to the brutal ways of his people? Bruce could only hope the seeds he'd planted would take root, potentially changing the course of Pakled history forever. As the days passed, Bruce noticed a change in Janus. The once fearsome Pakled warrior spent hours staring out the viewport, lost in thought. His massive claws, once instruments of destruction, now tapped thoughtfully against the reinforced glass. You seem troubled, Bruce said one day, approaching Janus cautiously. Janus turned, his alien features unreadable. I think about what you said, about mercy. Bruce nodded encouragingly. And? It makes no sense, Janus growled. Yet I live because of it. The Pakled medic, who had been lurking nearby, stepped forward. Human, I have questions. Ask away, Bruce replied, gesturing for the medic to join them. You speak of cooperation, of protecting the weak. How does this make you strong? Bruce considered his words carefully. By lifting others up, we all rise. When we work together, we achieve more than we ever could alone. The medic's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of deep thought. Fascinating and illogical. Maybe to you, Bruce said with a smile, but it's the foundation of our civilization. An idea struck Bruce. Why don't you join us for a meal? We can discuss this further. Janus and the medic exchanged glances, clearly torn between curiosity and ingrained suspicion. A meal? Janus rumbled. With humans? Yeah, Bruce said. It's how we build relationships, share ideas. After a tense moment, both Pakled nodded. Later, in the ship's mess hall, Bruce, Zach, Owen, Janus, and the medic sat around a table laden with both human and Pakled dishes. The atmosphere was awkward at first, with Zach and Owen casting wary glances at their alien guests. So, Bruce began, breaking the silence, in Pakled culture, what would happen to someone who showed mercy to an enemy? Janus's massive shoulders tensed. Death for showing weakness. The humans exchanged shocked glances. But, the medic interjected, your way saved Janus. How do you reconcile this with strength? Bruce leaned forward. True strength isn't about domination. It's about having the courage to do what's right, even when it's hard. The conversation flowed, sometimes heated, often uncomfortable, but always enlightening. Hours passed as they delved into the intricacies of their vastly different worldviews. Suddenly, the ship's comm system crackled to life. Craxus's voice boomed through the speakers, dripping with rage. Where are my warriors? Why have they not returned with Janus? Before Bruce could respond, the air shimmered with the telltale signs of a teleportation beam. Craxus materialized in the mess hall, flanked by heavily armed Pakled soldiers. His eyes blazed with fury as he took in the scene before him. What is the meaning of this? Craxus roared. his massive form towering over the seated group. Fraternizing with the enemy? Poisoning your minds with their weak philosophies? Bruce stood slowly, hands raised in a placating gesture. Commander Craxus, please. We're just talking, trying to understand each other. Silence, human, Craxus spat. Janus Medic, you will return to our ship immediately. These humans have clearly addled your minds with their lies. Weapons were drawn on both sides, the air thick with tension. Bruce's heart raced as he tried to defuse the situation. Craxus, think about this. We saved Janus's life. We're not your enemies. You showed weakness, Craxus snarled. A fatal flaw we will exploit. To everyone's shock, Janus rose to his full height, placing himself between Craxus and the humans. No, he said, his voice firm. I wish to learn more from them. The medic stood as well, mandibles clicking nervously. As do I, Commander. Their ways, they merit further study. Craxus's eyes widened in disbelief. You dare defy me? Your commander? Not defy, Janus rumbled. Question, as all Pakled should, to grow stronger. Craxus trembled with rage, his claws flexing as he weighed his options. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, teetering on the edge of violence or understanding. Craxus's eyes blazed with unbridled fury as he towered over Janus and the medic. His massive frame trembled, muscles rippling beneath his armored hide. You dare defy me? He roared, spittle flying from his maw. Bruce stepped forward, hands raised. Craxus, please, let's talk about this. But Craxus was beyond reason. With a primal scream, he lunged at Janus, claws extended. Bruce's eyes widened in horror as he realized the commander's intent. In that frozen moment, he made a choice. Bruce threw himself between Craxus and Janus. A sickening squelch filled the air as Craxus's talons tore through Bruce's flesh. Hot blood sprayed across the deck. Bruce's legs buckled, a choked gasp escaping his lips. No! Zack screamed. He and Owen opened fire, their weapons blazing to life. Energy bolts slammed into Craxus, scorching his thick hide. The Pakled commander howled in pain and rage, staggering back. Janus scooped up Bruce's limp form, the human's blood coating his arms. Medical bay, now! He barked at the medic. They sprinted from the room as Zack and Owen laid down suppressing fire. In the medical bay, Janus gently placed Bruce on a bio-bed. The human's face was ashen, his breathing shallow and ragged. Blood pooled beneath him, stark crimson against the sterile white surface. Stay with us, Bruce, Janus rumbled, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. The medic's hands flew over the controls, his mandibles clicking rapidly. Massive internal damage. He's losing blood too quickly. Bruce's eyes fluttered open, unfocused. Janus, go. Save yourselves. Janus stared at the dying human, the one who had shown him mercy, who had risked everything to save him. In that moment, Janus made a decision that would shatter centuries of Pakled doctrine. Without hesitation, Janus extended the bony ridge along his forearm. With a swift motion, he sliced open his own thick hide. Greenish blood welled up from the wound. What are you doing? The medic asked, stunned. Saving him, Janus growled. He pressed his bleeding arm against Bruce's wound. Our blood regenerates rapidly, if we can get enough into him. The medic's eyes widened in understanding. He quickly rigged up a crude transfusion system, connecting Janus to Bruce. As Pakled blood flowed into human veins, Bruce's color began to improve ever so slightly. Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. Zack's voice crackled over the intercom. We can't hold them off much longer. We need to evacuate. Janus nodded grimly. Help me move him to the shuttle. As they raced through the corridors, alarms blaring and weapons fire echoing behind them, Janus felt a flutter of something unfamiliar in his chest. Hope. For the first time in his life, he glimpsed a future beyond endless conflict and brutality. They reached the shuttle bay, Zack and Owen providing covering fire as they boarded. As the engines roared to life, Janus caught a final glimpse of Craxus. The commander's face was contorted with rage and disbelief as he watched his warriors flee. The shuttle burst free of the frontier spirit, streaking into the star-studded void. As they left the Pakled warship behind, Janus knew that nothing would ever be the same. The old ways were crumbling, and a new path lay ahead, one forged in blood, sacrifice, and the radical idea that strength could be found in cooperation rather than domination.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.